Everyone looks at pornography, so it can't be that bad, right? In the past few years, there's been a growing awareness of the harms of pornography consumption. Dozens of states have moved to declare pornography a public health crisis. Today, I'm going to argue that the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration in the United States should recognize pornography as a drug like any other drug. There's voices on both sides of this topic. On one side, you have Fight the New Drug and other nonprofit organizations saying that pornography impacts self-esteem, it gives a distorted view of sex, and it increases the rates of sexual assault. On the other side of the argument, you have the porn industry claiming that this is all just fear-mongering. Matt Kearns for Adult Video Network Media said that pornography is harmless entertainment meant for adults. Emily Rothman, who's a professor at Boston University, says that calling it a public health crisis is a misguided approach because it's not a deadly virus and it's not as important as things like homelessness, opioids, or suicide. I stand with states that have called it a public health crisis and think that the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, from here on out, going to be called SAMHSA, should do the same. I have a vested interest in this topic because my family's been impacted by pornography. To prepare, I did a lot of research to see if there was a scientific basis for this argument. And after the research, I'm even more convinced that we need to take action. Today, I'm going to present 3 reasons why we should recognize pornography as a drug. The first is to increase the awareness of the harms that pornography can cause. Second is that there is a direct link that's been found between pornography consumption and violence. And third, despite the opposition's claims that pornography isn't like other drugs, brain scans of compulsive pornography users are very similar to the brain scans of other drug users and alcoholics. To begin, we're going to talk about recognizing pornography as a drug in order to raise awareness about the harms. If we recognize pornography as a drug, it might help prevent early exposure of young children to pornography. Quadara in 2017 said that children as young as 9 years old are accessing pornography on a regular basis. It says that 9 out of 10 women and 1 out of 3 men between the ages of 18 to 26 reported accessing pornography online, and Pornhub reported that they had 79 billion video views in 2014 alone. Recognizing pornography as a drug increases awareness of the harms of consumption, and it's the only way that people can really make an informed decision on whether or not to consume pornography. It'll prompt parents to talk about the dangers of pornography to their kids. And if people know about the dangers of pornography beforehand, when they are confronted with it, they can make that decision rather than triggering their natural curiosity as sexual human beings and becoming addicted on accident. I think it's important that we don't ban pornography or punish people for looking at pornography because, according to Fight the New Drug, punishments and social shaming only deepen the problem. Recognition of pornography as a drug will alleviate exposure to young children through parents talking. It'll also it'll decrease violence in relationships. Whitney Rosted found that exposure to pornography was linked to teen violence and sexual aggression. She found that porn exposure in young people, especially violent or demeaning acts towards women, leads to normalizing disrespectful, risky, or violent sexual acts. Women are portrayed as submissive in sex and as being able to be manipulated and exploited into having sex. And then teens are portraying what they're seeing online in their actual relationships. Pornography perpetuates sex violence, and it perpetuates the common belief that no doesn't actually mean no, and that everything done to a woman, whether or not there's consent or whether or not there's pain involved, it will ultimately bring her pleasure. And that's a lie that we'd like to expose. Diana Russell says that porn glorifies violence against women. Raising awareness will lead to reduced violence in relationships. Again, we're not trying to ban porn, we just want to raise awareness. Giving information about the effects of pornography and violence will allow people to make informed decisions on whether or not to consume. And if they do consume, they'll be better able to differentiate between what is healthy and what's not healthy, because they will have had the conversations beforehand and they won't portray what they're seeing in their everyday lives. So why would people oppose recognizing pornography as a drug? Most arguments come from people in the porn industry who stand to make lots of money off of pornography consumption. The arguments ignore the facts about pornography consumption, and they're not consistent with what we know about pornography as a drug in relation to other drugs. Pornography is not harmless. First, empirically, the facts don't support this claim. There was a study done at Cambridge that's found that people who look at porn regularly show similar brain activity as alcoholics and other drug addicts. That looking at porn alters the reward center of the brain, which is the ventral striatum, which processes rewards, motivations, and pleasure. And it means that compulsive porn users lose the ability to, once they are triggered, once those cues are struck in their brain, they lose the ability to choose not to consume porn. And those cravings will lead to consumption. Second, there's a complete lack of evidence for those who believe that pornography is, who believe it's harmless. There's no data to support this. Third, there's a clear bias as they stand to make lots of money off of continued porn consumption. Third, this problem affects everybody, whether directly or indirectly. 64% of people aged 13 to 24 have actively sought out pornography at least once per week. 35% of internet downloads are pornography related. And 34% of internet users reported being inadvertently exposed to pornography via pop-ups or ads. And that was according to Fight the New Drug. And lastly, the net benefit of recognizing pornography as a drug it's only positive. As we're not trying to ban it or put restrictions on it, it will cost zero money. All we're doing is raising awareness. So the pros far outweigh the cons. Clearly, the only reason why not to recognize pornography as a drug is based on greed. SAMHSA, in recognizing pornography as a drug, will help to raise awareness of the harms that it causes. It'll shed light on the ties between pornography use and violence. And despite the claims of the opposition, brain scans of those who use pornography compulsively are similar to those who use drugs compulsively. SAMHSA should recognize pornography as a drug in order to give people the ability to make an informed decision on whether or not they want to consume pornography.